Hi, this is Anna Horford, and you're listening to Horford Happy Hour.
Hey guys, thanks for joining me on another episode of Horford Happy Hour. This week we are talking sex positivity and also Ruthless Girl comics. So this was a comic started by two of my friends, Mike and Carrie, who I've known for about 7-ish years, I think. We started going to Eclectic. Yeah. So, and Mike is also a huge basketball geek and was on the second episode of Horford Happy Hour. So thank you both for joining me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And today we're drinking Grand Traverse Select. And we have a Sweet Harvest Riesling because Mike is a giant baby and likes sweet wines. So we did that for him.
It tastes good. I feel nice.
Exactly. It was a good choice, I feel like. And then we also have a Sweet Traverse Red. So, Carrie, which one do you like better?
I have to say I like the red better.
It's good, right?
It is.
It's
good.
not dry.
And I'm not a red wine person. So.
I actually think I do too.
Yeah.
But communion.
But, right.
It's a little Manischewitz. I like it though.
It's good.
I grew up with Manischewitz.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a sweet red wine blend. And if you're out of state, I'm sure you can order it online because I doubt that they sell Grand Traverse anywhere besides Michigan. But, so yeah, check it out. Order online if you can. Wine.com might have it because they have almost every single kind of wine under the sun. So I would highly recommend it. All right, so let's jump into things. So people can kind of get to know you guys. Do you want to tell everyone what you do? Or maybe what you like to do? Any hobbies or anything like that?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm a tattoo artist. Mm-hmm. That's my main profession.
I have 2 tattoos from Mike, by the way.
I enjoy basketball immensely, and lately we have been working on an adult-themed magazine adventure, we'll say. Yeah. I think it would be like a graphic novel by the time we're done. I don't, because I have an entirely separate career, I don't want to have to make a monthly comic. Basically, that's a lot. That's a career right there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't want to have to do that. But so short stories, single cell comics, panel work, different things.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been tattooing?
16 years.
16 years. Okay.
A long time.
Mm-hmm.
Longer than I ever thought I would do anything.
And how did you get into it?
Luck. No, I always wanted to tattoo, and I tried very hard and many different times in many different places. Am I doing the thing where I look stressed out when I talk?
Yeah, you are.
We were saying earlier that, or Carrie said earlier that Mike looks stressed out when he talks. And she would know, also they are married, just so you guys know.
I didn't know that, and right now I can feel myself touching my eyebrows while I'm talking.
He looks like it's the most intense conversation.
What was the question?
We were talking about your tattooing and how long you've been doing it and how you got into it.
Oh, I always wanted to tattoo. It's a very difficult industry to get into. I tried many times, many different places, and then honestly, I scored a side job. I was a carpenter, and I got a job fixing up a tattoo studio who decided to keep me a while.
Cool. And Carrie, you? Would you like to share what you do or what you like to do?
Sure. Well, I am a full-time student now, so I am trying to get my master's in sociology. I'd like to eventually go to law school. Mm-hmm. I would like to practice civil and human rights as well as immigration law. That's something I've always been passionate about. Advocacy has always been a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
I worked for Planned Parenthood for close to 10 years and have volunteered for nonprofit organizations, places like the Women's Center in downtown Lansing. I've done some volunteer work with a couple of the refugee organization. So
lots of different things.
I like advocacy and I like social justice.
Yeah, it's very cool.
But the reason why I want to study sociology is because I've always been interested in sociology. Why people do what they do, and human nature has always been something I've been attracted to.
Yeah,
my whole life.
Cool. And I feel like that's something we're kind of going to talk about as we go along too, like why people do what they do, why they like what they like.
I so outkicked my coverage. You're like, tell me about yourself. I'm like, I make art, and she's like, I save the world.
No, you make great art.
I'm so proud of you. You're the best.
Thank you.
All right, so your IG description, which is Ruthless Girl Comic, is the name. And so it's a married couple who makes erotic art together. And then Carrie writes, Mike draws. Is it available anywhere else right now, or are you guys just doing the IG thing?
No, it's there because in order to sell something, you have to have a lot of content. So we're building content.
Yeah. Okay. And you guys started less than a month ago, but you almost have 2,000 followers, so you're doing pretty well. Were you guys surprised by that at all?
I mean, I was surprised to an extent, but at the same time, I wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
I know.
I mean, people love sex, right?
That's
people
exactly.
Especially in this current social climate that we're in, people love comic sex. It seems like this artistic kink revolution is kind of happening, which is kind of neat. I think... I don't know. I dig it.
Yeah. So what made you guys want to start? Like, what inspired you?
Our life.
Yeah, so
our own personal life.
Yes, we have a very wonderful personal life together. And so there's been other avenues. We've shared that in the past.
Yep.
That are more personal. So taking a step back from that, this seemed like a fun way to kind of do a similar thing. Also, just practice for me at art. I like to draw, and I like to draw naked people. But it's kind of like a reflection of our life. Not all the things are not our life. Some of the things are our life.
Yeah.
We've had people ask us which ones, and I think part of the fun is not telling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think definitely. But that's it. That's kind of how.
And you guys follow other accounts, right? Like, do other accounts inspire you guys? And
you know what? There are several really good. Instagram's the only social platform we have it on, so I guess that's where I would be speaking about. But there are several really good illustrators and erotic illustrators on Instagram, actually.
okay. Yeah.
Like, way better than me. Way better.
But it's kind of cool that you guys all support each other.
I do think it's neat.
Because I do see you guys posting about other accounts.
Yeah.
And
So the thing with it is, all the accounts get banned. We try to be less graphic, so that won't happen.
Yeah.
Maybe like if there's something that looks like a penis and doesn't have penis details.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
Or
the
like
implication.
The implication. We were
Okay.
big about the implication when it comes to that.
Gotcha. Were you guys into kinky comics before this?
So heavy metal was a thing. I'm in my 40s, or 43, so heavy metal magazine is like a super integral thing in my youth, where I was like, oh, these are boobs. They're cartoon boobs, but I mean, they're like, it was pretty neat.
Yeah.
And also, I've always been into fantasy, so like Olivia, who does pinups, and Boris, Sorayama, other fantasy artists who have always drawn typically women. I've always been into that. Oh, I mean, who wouldn't be, right?
Right.
What
about you?
Yeah, I've always liked sexualized illustration and fantasy. I'm a huge Star Wars fan and sci-fi geek. So, as a kid growing up, erotic art with Star Wars and Star Trek.
That was your thing.
Sexually appealing. Yeah, I was like, oh man, I dig this. Captain Spock eating out, a weird alien.
Yeah.
Actually, Harrison Ford is the whole reason that I get to have Carrie.
Wait, why?
I mean, okay, well, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
I am
Indiana
also
Jones.
a huge Indiana Jones fan. And I became a Harrison Ford fan, as a kid. I was attracted to his character, whether it be Han Solo or Indiana Jones. I was attracted to him, but I also wanted to be him in a sense.
Okay.
So not only was there a sexual attraction there, but there was also admiration.
Yeah.
A little bit. And I had a friend in high school who knew that I really was into like Indiana Jones and Star Wars, and so she would draw like explicit erotic art.
Really?
With, like the characters, and I loved it.
Oh my
like,
gosh, that's amazing.
It was something I always loved that she did, and she did it just for me, and I always felt so special. But
okay, that's why she loves Harrison Ford.
Right. Okay. So what does that have to do with Mike?
The reason why she loves me is because Carrie is very staunch feminist, an inclusive feminist.
Yeah.
I would say I'm a reformed misogynist.
Yeah,
okay.
Good.
Right? There's a thing in all Harrison Ford movies where he's being a jerk. And the girl is like, you're being a jerk.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, well.
Come here,
And
right.
she's like, ah. So that's really our life, though. So super feminist, but... And I'm not misogynist anymore.
No,
So
you're
you're
not.
saying she's made you a better person.
So she's definitely made me a better person, but there's a time for me to be misogynist to her.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but...
yeah, it's not necessarily misogyny that turns me on. It's more of just whether it be male or female, someone knowing what they want and being assertive in what they want, and not being wishy-washy.
It's being taken.
Just like going for it.
Yeah, and being taken and having So when Harrison,
and that's how I do it too. Just saying.
Yeah, when Harrison Ford, when Carrie Fisher tells Harrison Ford, "I love you," and he says, "I know."
That's our whole life.
My panties
You're
got
like,
wet.
Whoosh! You're like waterfall.
Yeah.
Like that might be the dickiest response, but at the same time, I got it.
You're like, damn.
So listen,
I feel that.
Smooth.
On our first date, we went up on top of the hamster trail in East Lansing, and we were smoking a joint.
Yeah.
Oh, can I say that?
Yeah, you have your card. It's
I
Michigan.
sure do, and it is Michigan. That's right.
Maria's my guest a lot, and she's always fucking stoned during me. So
we are
my listeners know.
So we were like smoking a joint. It was the first time we ever smoked together. We'd ever we had been speaking for 16 minutes. And she was like, so what do you see this as? What are you trying to do? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I thought we were going to smoke weed and have really good sex. Right? And
was that really your answer?
Yeah, really. That really happened. And she was like, she looked at me like, fuck you, you're out of your mind. But it only took 2 days.
Oh, shit.
It wasn't that day. Next day.
Okay.
It's because you Harrison Ford in
I did.
She was like, I can't help it.
That really happened.
So how far do you guys see this going? And do you do it mostly for fun, or is it used as more of an outlet?
So, my God, I hope somebody sees me drawing stuff and hires me as a comic book artist, and that's what I get to do for the rest of my life.
Okay, so you'd rather do that than tattoo?
I love tattooing, but drawing's easier. It's easier on your body.
Yeah.
It's not making art on a moving, breathing person.
Yeah.
It's easier. I would prefer to just be an illustrator. Sure.
Okay, so that's your end goal.
Yeah.
What do you like the most about this?
Well, I like that I get to work with him on something.
That's nice.
Because
nice.
I think we collaborate well, and I think we're honest with each other. If I might write something, and he'll look at it and he'll be like, "No, I think you should switch this around, or maybe omit this, or change it up altogether." I'm like, okay, cool. And then if he draws something and I'm like, no, maybe not do that, he's like, okay, cool. So
you're both open to criticism?
Yeah, constructive criticism. It's not always easy.
It depends too what came first. Sometimes I draw and then she captions what I drew, and that's fine. And sometimes she writes and then I draw what she wrote.
Gotcha.
So the longer things are usually when she takes some time. She's been writing, so when I take a part of anything she's writing, and then I make a panel from it.
Okay.
The shorter things are usually she's working on schoolwork and I'm just gonna continue working, and then I'm like, hey, look what I did. Yeah. Or also I do say, hey, what am I gonna draw? She'll tell me, I'll draw it, then she'll write it.
Gotcha.
So we do that too.
So it's a good. I feel like there's a good balance. You guys make a good team.
It's wicked fun.
Yeah,
it is fun.
Do you see how far do you want to see it going?
Oh, well, I'd like to get something published.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you'd be open to that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would like people to want to buy it. You know what I'm saying? I love purchasing books of people's artwork.
Yeah.
And that's
we actually buy.
We have several
art,
books, yeah.
And just artwork. We try to support other artists.
Yeah, and I would just hope that other people would do the same.
For sure.
Like, books are kind of becoming like a obsolete thing now.
Right.
I want to bring that back, and I think like having art and books, like actual physical books with like paper that you can like read, you know.
Here's
like
the weird thing.
Ebooks are great, but like if you can actually hold something, like have it sit on a table and like have guests come and like look through it, you know, like there's something special about it.
It's a different experience.
And I feel like it's more personal. I feel like it's more intimate. And I would like to see us be able to publish some things and have it put out there for people. And people, you know, like can look at it and think, oh wow, like this is hot. You know, like I like this. This makes me feel special in certain ways. And that's kind of ultimately what I would like to see is people get like a good, positive, like sexual vibe from it.
For sure.
So we enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's a thing. We have our, I don't know what you call it, but like our journey into like hanging out in the kink community, or the BDSM community or whatever, started for us as exhibitionism.
Okay. Well, because in your profile it says like sex, kink positive, and so like I was gonna ask you guys like what does that mean to you?
No shame. Like if you have ever felt like you were an outsider for, you know, being pansexual, if you ever felt like an outsider for, you know, for being a transgender, being homosexual, whatever it is, we want to be all inclusive. Yeah. We want to like even let people know that it's okay to be who you are.
Right.
Because I don't think that there is one right way.
Right.
To be. And sexuality is just, there's so many different levels.
So diverse.
Even for those people who would be like more vanilla or prim and proper, to have less shame about their own sex lives. I think is really important. I think it would be great in society, in American society.
That's something I want to bring up too.
To feel less shame about sex. We've had friends even shame us somewhat.
Really?
For sure. Yes, we have.
Weird.
Several.
Why would they care?
Disapproving, maybe.
Don't you think that's weird?
Not like mean shaming.
No, I know, but don't you think it's weird that people care? Because if it's not like hurting anyone else, or like as long as it's safe, and
I don't think it's weird that people care because it goes against cultural norms. Anytime anything ever goes against cultural norms, people get funky.
Yeah.
So
just because they're not used to it.
I don't think it's so unusual, but in this day and age, I think people need to become more accepting.
Yeah, for sure.
Of things that maybe they never considered being real, you know, or like being acceptable.
And I was going to say, so the definition, I looked up the definition of sex positive, and it was having or promoting an open, tolerant, or progressive attitude towards sex and sexuality. So do you think that's
exactly
that's like hit the nail
regardless
on the head
of
kind
gender
of thing?
orientation? Well, now here's the thing. There are obviously limitations to that in regards to, like, we say we don't kink shame, but there are definitely some messed up things that are against the law, and like, you know what I'm saying? There's things that are like not tolerated by society,
right?
But by that we don't mean like homosexuality or like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
there's like a line.
Like,
we're not gonna. Yeah. So have you guys ever felt like ashamed or weird for liking what you like, or? And also, like, how do you deal with other people's judgment?
Oh, that's a good question. So, yes, because for a long time, we super hid. You yourself didn't know we were doing all this crazy shit for the last several years. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and for me, I'm so, like, that doesn't faze me, but I get that a lot of people it would, and that people would care, so.
And then, so part of that for me is there are some people I would not like to just share my private life with. So it was a step for me. Carrie doesn't give any cares at all. She's fine.
Ever?
Almost.
Have you ever felt like ashamed or like an outsider almost, you know, because it's not necessarily following social norms to be so open?
Younger, when I was younger, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, mine shifts change with the times, obviously. When I was younger, there were things that I questioned about myself, my sexuality, the things that I liked. Am I normal? Am I weird?
Yeah,
you
like,
know,
is this okay?
Are other people like me? You know,
Well, don't all people do that?
To an extent.
To an extent,
Yeah.
I think some people find it harder to do self-reflecting than others.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, that's true.
So I would say, yeah, in my younger years, even though I grew up in a pretty sex-positive environment, my mother being a homosexual, I was not necessarily brought up in a normal like household, I guess, like in the standard like nuclear typical household. Even though I was brought up in like a sex positive environment, like you know, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, like things that are talked about now were talked about then.
Totally.
Like I never knew what pansexual was until like recent, within the last couple of years,
Right.
and that's how I identify. I never knew what it was. You know, like how can I identify something that I don't know?
Yeah, that you didn't even know
exists.
existed.
You know,
Exactly.
So that in itself brings a little bit of like turmoil,
Right?
Trying to figure out your place and you know, because our society is so attached to definitions,
Right?
You know, like we have to define everything. So how do I define myself? Like like you're right. Lots of people go through that, you know, especially people who are not gendered, you know?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
So nowadays, no, I don't care.
Right.
Nowadays, I give zero fucks. And I feel like that comes with age and experience.
Totally.
It does come with age, too. I care less.
And, like, just, like the social norms of the time, too. So I think it is becoming more, like, normalized and stuff. And people are talking about it more that, like, I don't know, I've talked about sex, like, with my mom and stuff, and, like, she would have never talked about it with hers. You know what I mean? Exactly. So I think things changed like that. But as far as people being judgmental, how do you deal with that? Or how would you suggest someone deals with that?
Well, that's a interesting question.
That is, that's for sure hard. So I usually ignore that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do what I do.
I feel like you don't care. Like,
I don't. I'm going to do what
Mike
I do.
gives zero fucks.
I'm going to do what I do.
Yeah.
So now that doesn't mean that there haven't been people I've been around that were not comfortable with my lifestyle, that I haven't refrained from just being like
totally open.
Yeah. Right. I feel like you got to just base it on your audience no matter what you're dealing with, you know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure.
But as far as people like, oh man, that's so hard. How do you deal with somebody shaming you? That's like it doesn't even have to be about sex or anything.
Yeah.
It's almost
subjective.
You just know.
Is it something you guys just shake off? Like if it's ever, you know, like
nobody's ever affected me with their shame in a sense where I was like, oh man, am I leading my right lifestyle? That's never happened.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever really been shamed.
It's more like,
we
can't talk normal because they're around.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So that's basically like being in any like conservative or like overly religious household, and you're talking about anything like
we're either around our peeps or we're at church. You know what I mean? And
for sure.
That's and so that it does affect us that way.
Yeah.
For me though, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't affect me as much, honestly, because I'm kind of I'll do whatever the fuck I want. I don't care what anybody thinks. Really, like.
And like you said, that comes with like age and experience,
I think it comes with age
right?
and experience, and I mean also environment, like in the type of environment you're brought up in. Like when I was in my early 20s, I worked at a sex toy store. Yeah. And when I told my grandparents that I worked at a sex toy store, my grandmother almost fainted. You know, right? They're like old country, you know, they're not conservative in the manner of like Republicans, but you know,
but they're like still keep it to yourself.
They're older, private people. Yes, you don't air your laundry, you know. And so, when I was around my grandparents, I wouldn't be like, oh, well, the dildo I sold the other day, you know, had all these, you know, contraptions to it.
Right, exactly.
I don't talk like
that. That would make their head spin anyway.
10-inch girth.
Like what?
Yeah, you would not believe the double-ended dildo that I saw.
Yeah. The Great American Challenge.
2 boys bought it, Grandma.
But so I'm not gonna do that. But like I don't know, like out in public, like I'm not ashamed of who I am.
Yeah, like you're just gonna do what
we
you
do
want to do.
Public shit all the time.
Do you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, besides like ass grabbing and stuff, like
no, for sure, like public shit.
Yeah, so like that's like your thing.
No, we have lots of things.
Well, you do talk about Carrie's butt a lot.
That's
so.
a thing. I mean, yeah, obviously, you would grab her butt too.
I'm
not saying you would grab her butt. I'm saying you or me.
Right.
You would grab her butt too.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying we do lots of public things. So like we've like do it in public or we do lots of public things. We take lots of pictures in public.
Yeah.
We like.
Are you
take
worried
pictures
about being
with
like
other people in the background, but Carrie's naked in the foreground?
Right.
Like we don't have sex with like people around us. Like we're not going
not
to the
just
park.
we do that, but not just in public.
Right.
We don't just go to the park and have sex with people around.
Yeah.
We like
there's laws,
hide
that
somewhere.
prohibit that.
Right.
Not trying
You're
to
not
go to
like
jail.
in front of people.
But also, it did start as an exhibition. There's definitely people that have like pulled up a chair and watched us have sex. For sure. And stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. We had a very like intimate photo shoot. In fact, one time with a friend of ours. Yeah. Like where we engage in sexual activity, and the other person is just there photographing and or recording.
And some other things.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, and it's just something that you guys are comfortable with. So
yeah,
I think that's cool. What do you guys feel like are some common misconceptions around being sex or kink positive?
Some misconceptions about being sex positive?
I think deviancy. I think that like...
Non-consent, like harmful behavior. I have issues with like how porn is nowadays. Like a lot of the mainstream porn that you see online, a lot of it is insanely violent. Very aggressive towards women. Yeah. I'm not going to kink shame people who are into that. If that's what they want to do, that's totally fine. But I feel like...
Plus, it's kind of a little bit what we do. Not to that extreme.
No, I'm talking about like hardcore, like
violence. They make it seem like it comes off as non-consensual.
It's portrayed as non-consensual to the point where at the end of the sex act, the woman has to face the camera and say, I completely consented to everything that just happened to me. That's not fun sex to me.
For sure.
For sure, all people in the sex should be looking like they're having fun.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a main thing for sure.
Yeah.
Rape fantasy is a thing. That's fine. Yeah.
Do you think that kind of gets tied into... Because I think people are almost scared of kink positive and stuff like that because they associate the two.
So we do consensual non-consent to an extent. That's the Harrison Ford thing we just talked about.
Anything we post of ourselves, I think clearly shows that it's consensual.
Yeah, the smiles give it away.
Yes.
That's
I'm
the thing.
Smiling.
That's
it looks like we're having fun.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think that the way that porn is now with the violence and this weird non-consensual consent thing that's happening kind of gives people the wrong perception of
what it should be.
Exactly. So I feel people who are not experienced enough in expressing any kinks or any form of sexuality that they want. I feel if somebody's not experienced enough, they might get the wrong impression that that's how it's supposed to be and end up actually hurting people.
Right.
So, I think that both dominant and submissive partners can have that. The type of porn she's talking about is typically shot and based on male fantasy.
Right.
It's very patriarchy based.
And say the consensual non-consent stuff we do personally is based on Carrie's
so there's more power.
Consensual non-consent fantasy, not mine. So the power, so I'm winning, just so you know. But the power is still for Carrie.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? She decides how far. The safe word. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Is more from a female perspective.
Right.
Who is in control.
Yeah. A theme for us in the thing is that people think about submissives as just having no power and being weak or whatever.
Right.
But if you're really going to participate in a power dynamic kind of thing, which honestly we discovered together. I've never done that. I don't know what she says. She's never done it. She won't go about it. I feel like if it doesn't come from the submissive partner and you're ignoring what they're saying, then it's abuse.
For sure.
And that's just it.
For sure.
And then that's just it. So it's pretty easy. She has a safe word. She uses it in the stop.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. And I think that's something that sometimes, like you said, if you're not as experienced, like some people will overlook that. And then someone ends up like getting hurt, or you take it too far, like whatever.
I think we're fortunate that a lot of our friends are positive in the kink community. So like we have friends that will openly shame consent abusers. Consent abusers, not consent abusers.
Yeah,
consent
we knew
abusers.
what you meant. This wine's getting to Mike. He doesn't really drink a lot.
I never drink,
wine.
Actually. No, consent abusers. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a thing that we try to portray in it. And I don't know how we came up with the idea really to do it together. But I had always drawn erotic art, and the main thing that people commission me for, aside from tattooing obviously, has always been erotic art.
Interesting.
Always. The majority of things I've ever sold have been erotic art, although I don't post them a lot.
Right.
And then Carrie's been writing so much and like enjoying it, and I'm like, you know what, I got this idea, and that's just how I guess we did it.
Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to bring up was BDSM seems to like play a big role in kind of what you guys write and draw to an extent. Sure. So that, I mean, I don't know if anyone's listening that doesn't know what it is, but it's like a variety of often erotic practices or role-playing involving bondage, dominance, sadism, and masochism. And so that's not something that people are usually open to discussing. So are you guys like looking to normalize it in a way? Or
yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, like why?
There's lots of people who are into this.
So many people.
There's more people than you know.
The thing is, there's people, I think there's people who want to legislate your sexual practices. Yeah, who are into it though. You see what I'm saying? They want to tell you can't do that, but
there's self-deprecating people out there.
Like you said though, I think it's a lot more people than you think.
A lot.
And it's just it almost is secretly normalized.
No, listen,
it is.
You wouldn't
it's a
believe
subculture.
how many people we've met in over the years. I mean, just like hundreds and hundreds of people, and lots of like really awesome people. Some not so awesome people.
But that's with everything.
But that's with everything, and honestly, mostly awesome people. Yeah. Like really awesome people.
It's definitely, the whole BDSM community is definitely a subculture. And I think it's getting more exposure as
Michigan has a pretty fair,
it does.
okay BDSM scene.
As we start to, as a culture, normalize sexuality and normalize the differences and various facets of sexuality.
Or will we? We're going backwards right now.
But see, I don't know if I necessarily agree that we're going backwards. I think that censorship is strong now, more than we've seen in quite a while.
That's what I meant.
So the censorship is definitely something that's battling, I think, progressiveness. But
here's something. I'm going to say this right now to this microphone. Feet fetishists are the nicest, most polite of all kinksters.
Are they really?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think it's because their fetish is like, people are like, weirdo. I don't have a feet fetish, but I make a point sometimes to draw them to appease feet fetishists because they've been so nice to us over the years.
People have offered up to $600 for my used shoes.
Send them, girl.
I haven't because I don't know.
No, do it.
No, don't put a return address. Just
I know. See, that's what I'm scared of. Is like someone like finding me or something.
You know what? Just like, okay, so you live here.
Yeah.
Drive there. And send it with no return address.
Maybe I should.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I should.
Get off at the post office.
Cash in on that or whatever.
Carrie.
Like no harm, no foul.
Carrie would have sold so many things over the years. It's me. I'm the one who finally is like, all right, fuck it, basically. Who cares? And I don't know why it took me so long to be just open.
Do you think because of society?
Well, yeah, it's society. And even my own...
I think your upbringing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Raised Catholic, you know what I mean? I grew up... I can't say I grew up in like a sexually repressed household or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't
And every family's different,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Like
Yeah,
my Dominican side, we do not swear around them.
Mm-hmm.
We do not talk
Right.
about sex around
Right.
them.
I was raised around Arabic people.
Yeah.
They're not real openly sexual.
Yeah, no. And then my mom's Irish side, they're all like, let's drink a fifth of Jameson and
Right.
talk about our lives and our
Right.
fucking hippie phases and shit. So it's like, it's you know your audience. Like you said earlier, you have to know your audience and what you're comfortable with and what you're not. I was going to ask you guys, so as long as things are safe and consensual, I'm really not one to judge. So whatever anyone's into. But like, what do you guys feel like are some ground rules that people should establish with their partners? Because I know you mentioned safe words.
So you're talking specifically about if you're gonna venture into some type of BDSM.
Yeah, like do you guys have like any like ground rules that you would recommend? Or,
Be honest. Just be completely upfront with your partner.
Yeah, what you want to do.
What you want, what you don't want, what you're comfortable with, and tell them that you're not willing to go beyond your comfort zone until you're ready. If your partner can't get on that level with you and understand that...
Oh, that's the wrong partner.
Yeah, if your partner can't get on that level with you and understand that everybody goes at their own pace, then you need to find somebody else.
Okay.
And it's,
I think that's big too, because some people like want to like bend towards others' like wants and needs, but it's like you should really be focusing on
here's
what
the
you
thing
want.
when it comes to sexuality. Do not compromise your own integrity. Do not compromise your own safety. If there is something you don't feel comfortable doing, do not do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it. And if the person you're with makes you feel bad for that,
Wrong partner.
they're not the person you want to be engaging in, whether it be sexual exploration or even if it's something that you're comfortable with already doing. Just don't engage in sexual activity with that person, because it's not going to turn out good for anybody.
Right.
So that's like my main thing, is just be honest and be comfortable and know that it's okay to say no whenever you want.
I think that's huge, because I think some people, they get worried about like pleasing someone else or like being into exactly what their partner's into or whatever, but like everyone has their limits.
So that's the thing.
Everybody has boundaries.
If sex is absolutely about pleasing the person that you're with, then you're gonna want to do what they want you to do, kind of.
Right.
So there's a huge thing in the kink community about how shitty Shades of Grey is.
Oh, yeah.
So I've never seen it,
Yeah.
but my understanding is that it's basically about a person coercing another person to get them to do what they want them to do. And
Like
that's,
to a T. It's really creepy. It really
so
is.
that's not at all what I think a real...
It might not have been an exact portrayal of
no,
a lot
some
of
like the things I
people.
read about it were that it's more like
it's
abuse.
all him.
It's more like
very
abuse.
patriarchal.
Guilt tripping and being like,
Right.
yeah.
So like a really
that's
good
not
example, a really good example, and one that people really do like is a fun, I think from the 90s movie, The Secretary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's really good. They're having fun.
Right.
They're both clearly like having a good time doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's really neat. And when it's like that, I think we're kind of like that. So super feminist. She don't want me to tell her what to do. But then sometimes, and I know when, I'm like, no, you got to do this. And she's like, oh, I better do this.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Do it.
And so
In
it's
bed.
like a thing.
Yeah.
It's in bed. Okay, for us, it's in bed. We have an in bed rule.
Yeah.
So sometimes I try to force her to get there.
Yeah.
So I can start telling her what to do.
And every couple has their thing, right? So like what you guys are comfortable with. And
I feel like I personally am like a super inclusive and just, I don't know, I don't like the word woke, but I feel like I'm just a pretty normal and inclusive person.
For sure.
I like everybody and they can do their thing. I don't tell Carrie what to do ever.
yeah.
Carrie does what Carrie wants to do until Carrie wants me to tell her what to do.
Right. Yeah.
And that still holds power in itself right there. Like,
That's the whole point. That's the thing.
And that's your dynamic.
Yeah.
And that works for you guys. So what do you guys want people to take away from what you're doing, the comic, everything that
boner.
you're sharing? That's a good answer. So
Lady boner, a guy
boner.
just want to fuck afterwards.
yeah, what do you guys want people
Any
to take
gender's
away?
boner.
And is there anything you want to add?
Well, Sexual liberation, I
No,
guess.
that's really it.
That's like, that's,
Bottom line.
That's the main thing. I want people to identify with things, and everything that's going to be in there is not everything we've personally experienced.
Right.
It's also not going to be for everybody.
And it's not going to be for everybody.
But we'll try to include everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And we just hope people like it.
For sure. So, yeah, I mean, I think the big takeaways from this, like you said...
what do you think about sexual liberation?
I'm totally for it. 100%. And I don't think anyone should be shamed for what they're into, but my two big things are it has to be safe and it has to be consensual.
Exactly.
Consensual.
Like, that's huge for me. And I think a lot of people, like you said, kind of can misinterpret that. So I think we talked about a lot of good things today. And thank you guys both for being so open about everything. I think that's really cool. And I think that whether you know it or not, you're helping other people be like comfortable and not ashamed. So yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode. And if you have any questions, you can always email horfordhappyhour@gmail.com.
They're gonna all email you and be like, "You're going to hell."
Yeah, don't be creepy. No, I
it's
actually
all
the
gonna
first
be dicks.
thing, no, yeah, the first thing I thought of was just a bunch
I'm not
of
laughing.
dicks.
Don't send dick pics.
Okay, so again, thank you guys for tuning in. Hit me up on Twitter or at my email if you guys want to add anything to this episode. And Mike and Carrie, where can people find you guys on social media?
My tattoo Instagram is at Mike Rena and
with 2 eyes.
Oh, it's actually at Mike_Rena with 2 eyes, RIINA, and the other one is Ruthless Girl Comics at Ruthless Girl Comics. And don't send dick pics.
And Carrie?
And I am at Carrie Catherine, Carrie with a C, Catherine with a K. So Carrie Catherine.
Oh, by the way, I'm sorry that I sounded like a douche this episode, but I have a cold. So, I mean, sure you guys could tell. I've done episodes when I'm sick before, but so I do have a cold, so bear with me. This is not what I always sound like, even though Mike thought that I always sounded like this.
But now I know douches sound like they have a stuck
I
up
don't
nose.
know if this is what douches sound like. That was the first word that popped into my head. So, anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will talk to you again next week.